This is the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast on the internet under the banner of Baby Angel Geronimo Manifesto editions, accompanied by the Baby Angel's Koji Kittens family from 1978 to now, 2024. All the baby kittens in the Koji Angel family are included in the campaign, including the latest baby angels, black and white one, the grey one, and the Shuri Look one. I haven't seen these angels for the last 2 weeks, and for technical, logistical reasons, I have not been able to make any broadcast from their vicinity of their hopefully environment where they hopefully exist. As I said in the previous editions about 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks ago, the criminals who were responsible for the erection of the obstructions to my feeding the black and white one and the grey one and the Shuri Look one are the criminals that are very much festering in the criminal environment that has been facilitated by the local Newham Council. And as the revelations of the last 2-3 weeks confirm, the political murderer of the Labour Party, Keir Starmer, morally is completely bankrupt. Morally bankrupt, ethically bankrupt, and of course, democratically bankrupt. Now, the GB News, which is the manifestation of one of the corrupt gangs that is in control of platforms in the United Kingdom, so-called mainstream platforms. It's very much part of the nasty Nazi Nigel Farage cabal. Broadcast a half an hour long diatribe against Keir Starmer. This diatribe has been online for longer than the time since when I have actually been able to access it or see it. This particular diatribe is aimed at creating a suspicion about Keir Starmer having a relationship, extramarital relationship, or relationships, because they don't name anyone and they don't publish any pictures of Starmer with anyone else other than his officially declared wife, Victoria. But what they're saying is loading the public domains with insinuations that Keir Starmer has had children in addition to and apart from the children that he has with Victoria. The phrase they have been using is shape of his family or shape of his personal life. Shape clearly suggesting bodies, personnel, etc., etc. So this is something that they're building up. They're not able to substantiate And that is why they are not naming anyone, because otherwise they would be done for under the libel laws. But the trend is towards the targeting of Starmer. And it is only a matter of time. I cannot predict when, but it is only a matter of time when the pressure on Starmer, not because of GB News, but because of the combined cumulative effect of other media sources and rumors, etc., will be such that he will be forced to leave the post of leader of the Labour Party, which means he will have to resign as prime minister as well, which means that the idea of the landslide, which is absolutely unheard of, the size, the number of MPs that the Starmer fronted Labour Party has had at the 4th of July 2024 election is unprecedented, huge. So that is something that will be the subject of continuing updates, commentary, etc. Now, because of the artificiality of the Black History Month that I discussed in the last few editions, I have been curious to check if there was anything floating in the accessible kind of realm that I could pick up relating to Black history or the kind of struggle of the Black people, mainly Black, meaning, of course, people of African origin and people from the Caribbean. African origin people through the Caribbean. And I have been able to pick up two, I think. I've been able to pick up two books. Let's check this one. I don't know when I picked up this one, written by somebody called Charlotte Riley, Imperial Ireland, History of Empire in Modern Britain. Now, Charlotte Riley, well, it doesn't say whether she's herself the product of African ancestry, but it says that she is a historian of 20th century Britain at the University of Southampton, specializing in questions about empire, politics, culture, and identity. Now, I'm reading this whole thing in full so that I can then comment on it. Her writing has appeared in a wide range of publications, including The Guardian, New Statesman, Prospect, and History Today. She also co hosts the podcast Tomorrow Never Knows, in which she and Emma Landin discuss feminism, pop culture, politics, and history. And then they give her Twitter account name, Lottie Lydia. Notice in that introduction, there is no reference to racism at all. So even if she's a product of a mixed race kind of partnership or parentage, or she's white, I mean, her mental outlook is very much going to be a mulatto outlook, or the outlook that is evident in the, let's see the name of the title, One Fine Day by Matthew Parker, who talks about what happened in September 1923, and he calls it a book about the decline of empire. Charlotte is talking about the decline of empire as well. And it is very similar, comparable to Matthew Parker's book, this Imperial Island, a history of empire in modern Britain. It is absolutely artificial and racist. Now, the book that I have found by accident, if you like, or the name of the person that I came across accidentally is called Akala. And the book is paraded as the Sunday Times bestseller, and it's called Natives. And its subheading is Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire. Now, these people, I don't know who is inspiring or promoting these, but these are the people that are actually promoting the idea that empire has ended. Empire hasn't been in decline. It is absolute rubbish. Empire has not ended. An empire is not in decline. Now, some of the things that these Natives by Akala does say in the so-called book are very true. For example, it identifies the lefty racists as racists or being in denial. Now, this is something that I have been world exclusively promoting and developing. I started in the 1980s, that's in 1981 when I started my campaign to expose the corruption of Ken Livingston. I started that shortly after the May 1981 GLC, Greater London Council elections. And I began writing a book-length analysis in late 1981. And I called it Left Out of the Media. And I gave it the short name, abbreviation LOOM, LOOM. Now, loom, of course, is something to do with the clothes manufacturing as well, but I'll leave that aside for the time being. And loom was, at the time, I was writing it and it was being typed by D.E. Bailey, Denise Bailey in 1981. More about Denise Bailey and the various contributions Denise Bailey has made to the work that I have been doing. I have no idea where Denise Bailey is now, but in the battles, let's say more than 10 years long battles of my battles against racism, corruption, injustice, cruelty in the United Kingdom, imperialism, Denise Bailey has been a very central participant, absolutely central participant. And the credit and the thanks to Denise Bailey will be duly accorded, published when I am able to publish the particular collection work. Now, Loom left out of the media was a theme that I kind of came across because after studying the contents of all the British, well, in 1981, there was no television really in the sense of today, and most certainly there was no internet. So it was mainly the main medium was printed medium, and sources were the printed sources. Well, the radio was there, but radio was inaccessible to the extent that you couldn't get the transcripts, etc., that theoretically are available or possible or accessible these days. So, what I found in the studies that I was making round the clock, 24 hours, studies of the print, that is, studies that have remained the same 24 hours up to now. And as I'm doing this, this is part of the study as well. What I found was that the left was completely out of the media. Now, that was 43 years ago. And in the intervening 43 years, the left has completely disappeared. And contrary to the mythology that some of these people persist in maintaining around Jeremy Corbyn, Corbyn is not a lefty. Not only is he not a lefty, Corbyn doesn't exist intellectually. That is my thesis. So, one of the things that I did in the last 43 years, since I developed and created the world exclusive original analysis of the British left out of the media in 1981, was to oppose the black sections that came about about few years after the device that I created the analysis of left out of the media in 1981. And as we know, Barney Grant died allegedly of heart attack or something, not long after he became an MP in 1987. And Darty Dye Abbott, of course, is the only one that is in the House of Commons now of the four black section kind of exhibitions. And Sleaze Bars is completely, absolutely disgraced in Leicester. And Paul Botang the crook has not been able to maintain any pretension. All of these four were, of course, to various degrees, beneficiaries of the so-called British left. And in the 43 years, since I devised the left out of the media analysis, well, that was 6 years before the 1987 election. I mean, these individuals who became members of parliament as black section banner couriers in 1987, they didn't contribute anything. They did not contribute anything of substance in the context of the Westminster Parliament after they became elected in 1987. That is absolutely true. And I'm saying that in the knowledge that Barney Grant was promoted as being the one that was calling for the reparations. Reparations to the Africans for the empire, the British Empire, the reparations by Britain for the empire colonization of Africa. Well, that was a completely artificial, absolutely artificial thing. Because, like the Black History Month, it is in the past at the expense of the present. It's not just in the past, full stop, but in the past at the expense of the present. Barney Grant, of course, was saved, if you like, from a criminal record by the coincidence of his getting elected, because he had been witnessed by people as attacking an Asian man. And during the part hearings, because the hearing was not really properly done of the case against Barney Grant, he said that he was being prosecuted for political reasons. That's a lie, because the man he attacked was more radical than Barney Grant ever could be. Barney Grant was not a radical. The only thing that made his name was that statement allegedly made by him on the night of the policeman being killed in Haringe. That the reported statement by Barney Grant, not yet a council a member of parliament, of course, because it was several years before the 1987 election. He allegedly said words to the effect that the London Metropolitan Police got a bloody good hiding. The Tottenham riots. Now, I was in Tottenham hours before the riots actually erupted. I wasn't in the riots in the population, but I was probably a mile or so away. That was just a coincidence. I was there to observe the demonstration that was reportedly taking place outside the Haringe police station after a mother of a black youth was attacked by the police. But Barney Grant actually was not a radical. Intellectually, he was not a radical, and he had not made any contribution intellectually to the cause of fighting racism in the United Kingdom. The only time he became mentioned or mentionable in the news in Britain was after the Tottenham riots. And the reason why he was mentioned was because of his alleged statement that the police got a bloody good hiding. So when he spoke, not long before he died, when he spoke at a rally that took place somewhere in the east end of London, Victoria Park, I think, Barney Grant spoke in the rally. I cannot give the sequence because that was some time ago, wasn't it? Nearly 40 years ago. But the contents of his speech did not outline anywhere near accurately the scenario, the racist British political scenario. And Barney Grant was guarded. He appeared to be guarded by a kind of gang. He was not a member of the population, ordinary black population. He was a protected kind of figure surrounded by a gang. Accessible is not the word that could be applied to him. He was not accessible, and he was not somebody that could be interrogated democratically, ethically, morally, empirically by anyone who is or was at that time a contemporary actively engaged in opposing racism. Now, this individual, Akala, in the Sunday Times bestseller, listed natives, race and class in the ruins of empire. This is the wrong, misleading heading. It says ruins of empire. Empire is not ruined. Empire is very much festering and persisting both in Britain itself and elsewhere in Africa and in the rest of the world. There are various kind of staged stunts created to give the impression that the United Kingdom is giving up empire, but it isn't. For example, the last 3 days or 4 days, the Daily Mail, the imperialist house journal, has been talking about the Argentinians being given back the Malvinas Island, which is the island that is called by the British imperialists the Falklands Islands. That's a stunt. And it's a practical, realistic sort of reason. It's nothing to do with the principle of giving up colonialism, racism. It's the fact that the maintenance of the island is very costly for the British. Same with the Gibraltar. I mean, the Gibraltar, which is named after Jabal al-Tariq, the rock of Tariq, the 17-year-old Muslim general who conquered up to there. I mean, he nearly conquered, well, he would have conquered the Western Europe. But that is a line of analysis, that historical analysis that I shall be going into at another time. But the Jabal al-Tariq has become too expensive in many ways. It's an expensive business to maintain that kind of little island, the rock, and to cover the cost. Now, this is the Akala book, Natives, Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire. And this is the Charlotte Lydia Riley, Imperial Islands. And in the Trafalgar Square picture, I think it's Lenny Henry they have strategically organized, orchestrated to get on the cover of this. Now, this book, Akala, is talking about the left out of the media. He's talking about the racist left in Britain. And it has got, this is the only title that I've seen in all this time since 1981, or articles or books, that actually comes anywhere near. It, of course, doesn't match by any means what I did say and what I do say, but it comes anywhere near approaching some of the things that I have been saying. Let's say it's saying approaching one, not 0.1% of what I've been saying. So it's a very long way away still from what I've been saying. But it is the only kind of source that I have seen so far that is saying anything like criticizing the white left as racist. All the other black writers, so called, or writers on the colonial imperialism, including this Lenny Henry's book. Let's see Lenny Henry's book. Lenny Henry, this is the Lenny Henry book. He says, "Who am I again?" It's a kind of There is a note on the internet saying that the microphone is not connected. So this will be the ending of this particular edition at 30 minutes, 47 seconds.